Morning, morning. Welcome to another Trialogue. I am joined by my co-hosts, Ricardo Calvario and Ethan Indigo. Guys, tell them what you've been up to. Go ahead, Ricardo.
Hi, greetings. So I'm still in Madison, Wisconsin. So I'm still working with Jim Shears and AES under the patronage of Chris Finneyfrock, who I have to thank for all of this, and his series Lost America, which you can find on Patreon. And basically, that's been nonstop. So today I will have 3 podcasts, so I will only be with Jim around 6 o'clock. I hope I have him live today with Vince Barrows. I'm still waiting for confirmation around 6 o'clock because I have this podcast. Then I have another one at 3 where we're going to be doing our special Mars show. And then it will be the shaman and the philosopher around 6:30. I still don't know. So it's going to be a full day. Not
Okay,
working out, but I'm working in. So no stop.
good stuff. Ethan, what you been up to?
Well, very cool to you guys. Happy Easter to everyone, and praise be to Allah. I, I hope everyone gets the joke. I have been
Everybody dropped the show.
what? Well, I was referencing a wild ass. What do they call him? Truth from the president this morning. So forgive me for making fun of monotheists. I have been writing a little article on our nation's 250th anniversary of its founding, not the founding of what is the most important document, the Bill of Rights, which was ratified later. And I've been, little practice and little research on other ideas, and great to be here as always.
Absolutely. Yeah,
What
we
about
got
you?
a
What about you? What's been going on with you?
well, I can pull that up right here. So I've been looking, the fruit of the loom thing where they
Of
just sort of got
course.
rid of that cornucopia. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that cornucopia is actually a lot more important to ancient worship in Rome than a lot of
Mm.
people are talking about. So, the controversy is famous example of the mandala effect, where people distinctly remember the cornucopia, the horn of plenty. What is that about? Behind the fruits brand logo. Yeah, well, did you know that that's an actual pagan symbol?
Sure. And a
Sure.
spiral too. Look at it spiraling there.
Isn't
Right.
that from that demigod with the horns?
It's from Tyche. Tyche. So basically, Tyche was the goddess of good fortune from Greek mythology, right? She's got that cornucopia right there, filled to the brim with all those
Mm.
fruits. So this isn't the first time they made the horn of plenty go away, as you can see.
Well, I was kind of associating it with the right I is it Baco that usually comes represent he usually comes in the animations with the corn of plenty
Baco.
associated. Yeah,
Well,
in the orgies of food and sex and
Bacchus.
Bacchus.
Bacchus,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have that idea. Seen that somewhere. But
Look at the hat she's got. Isn't that
yeah,
interesting?
is that a gate?
It's a whole town on top of her head.
It's the state and the individual as one in a way.
Hmm.
Well, it's sort of like the luck of one is the luck of many, right? So, she's got the whole state on her head, which is interesting that they would make this go away, right? So this isn't the first time they've done this to us and told us, "Hey, you know what? You never saw what you saw." Right? Actually, you don't have any good fortune. You don't get to have that, right? You don't get the horn of
I
plenty.
definitely remember. Not only do I remember the cornucopia being on the Fruit of the Loom emblem, I remember asking about it. So it was certainly there. It was to the point where I asked, "What is this?" You know. So
Absolutely. Well, another thing that they helped us forget is her consort. And her consort is also very important too. His name is Kairos. Let me see
very
here.
cool.
Yeah, I two new names to me.
The
Yeah,
sacred
Kairos
the
is
sacred timing, right?
that's right. The sacred time. So here's a good depiction of Kairos. He only has hair on the front of his head because once he's passed, there's no way to grab him by the back of the head. So you got to grab him by the front of the head. And he balances time, or he balances the measurement of time on a razor blade. Right.
Hmm.
He's also got these nice little winged feet here that you see from Hermes. And so he's constantly in motion. And once he's gone, once you miss him, there's no getting him back.
Hmm.
Il
Is there
tempo opportuno. So this is the guy who goes along with Taiki, and you really don't have good fortune unless you've got him, right? Which is all about good timing and knowing your opportunity. That's actually one of the Delphic maxims.
hmm.
So having the ability to know when the best time to act is very important.
Is there any relation to Chronos?
Yeah, well, as Chronos is the objective time, right? Like the clock.
Hmm?
He would be subjective time, where how are you having a good time,
And
right?
like ritualistic timing instead of clock timing, and if
Exactly.
be separate.
And so this would be more. Probably taking it too far. Is this more a god of synchronicity in the sense that either you are in tune and you capture the right time to do the what you have to do, or you miss it, instead of being a god that actually shows time or controls time or whatever?
Well, that's right. So if you missed it, you've missed it. There's
Mm.
no getting it back. And so I think it's a little bit more of a sacred idea because it has to do with our subjective time, how we feel about what we're doing, and
So
that's
it,
part of good fortune.
it will be because I usually say that the difference between knowledge and wisdom is that knowledge only gives you what to say or do, right? So more what to do, and but it is wisdom that tells you where, when, and how to do it. Right? So this second part would be more related to this god because it's that precise moment in how to do it.
Right. And there's a sense of instinct that goes along with that too. You have to have the right instinct. That's part of knowing your opportunity. You have to be connected to something on a deeper level than just the written application of time and just the written instructions. There has to be something more there. And so for Kairos and Taiki, it becomes more about how you feel in relationship to that time as opposed to how somebody else feels, what time you got to be there, and how you're going to show up and all the rest of that stuff. It becomes about your perception of that same event. So it's less top down, I feel.
It's like living in the flow, what people call to be in the flow.
Absolutely. And again, once we've forgotten these things, it becomes very hard to get them back. So what are we talking about? Today actually is the day of Taiki. She was celebrated, some scholars think, on April the 5th. And so we've been given a different kind of celebration. It was about the fortune and opportunity of a new harvest, right? So as you're getting everything ready for the planting, you kind of have to have that good luck so that you can get the most out of it. And some people say it was happening in midsummer, but Roman calendars were a mess, absolute disaster. So they don't really know one way or the other because it was all decided on by the priesthood. So the calendar was never the same from 2 or 3 months to the next. They would kind of decide it on the fly, which is kind of a whole different way of looking at time. But yeah, this one specifically, they turned our fertility festival into a funeral, right? So now we're all dressing in black as opposed to dressing in white and dancing around the maypole and looking forward to a new generation. We've got a total Abrahamic inversion, right? And even Passover, right? Passover is about the killing of the children and spreading blood on your door. Total Abrahamic inversion of the fertility rites of Egypt and Greece and Rome. And now everything turns into a funeral on the day that's supposed to be about new life. This is what April Fool's Day was about, right? So they called the people who used the old calendar April Fools, right? You idiots, you're going along with the old way. You've got to actually take in the new way, which celebrates time as a funeral instead of a rebirth, which is very much an unhealthy perspective, I think. I mean,
how do you change? And this is a curiosity; it's not a critique. How do you change from the blood of the lamb to the blood of the child? Because I'm sure you have some basis for that.
Well, the blood of the lamb, right? This is what they would spread over the doors in Egypt, and this is how they passed over. And in the ritual killing of Jesus Christ, that was supposed to be the blood of the lamb that saved you from that angel of death. And so they made that very clear. So now, instead of the old blood of the lamb, which was Osiris, right? Osiris was pictured as a lamb, and one of the reasons why they used the lamb as this sort of a sacrifice that they would have to spread on their doorway is because killing all these lambs pissed off the Egyptians. They hated it. And so not only did they hate it, but they used it in such a disrespectful way that they spread the blood on the outside of their houses to piss off the Egyptians so bad.
Well, and
that's not an accident.
It's another inversion. Forgive my poor internet connection if I'm coming through late. It's another inversion where in life, the elder generation, in a sense, sacrifices itself for the younger generation. This is
his network is not getting better.
Right.
Oh, there he is.
Well, there's the biblical perspective, which is the total.
I was just gonna add if I'm coming in.
You're back.
No, sorry. Maybe I'm back now. I was just going to add to the point of that there is this sacrificial layer to that, right? Where the elder generation is normally the one who offers itself and sacrifices itself either directly and overtly or subtly and by way of everything offered to them, instead of the youth sacrificing themselves, right? That's not the way it happens in nature, whether it's an animal or our beings.
Absolutely. Yeah. The elder generation was seen as we had to, sacrifice so that the young could come up. And instead, now it's the young that are sacrificing themselves for the old. You can see this in COVID, especially. It's like everybody's got to take a shot because we've got to save grandma and grandpa. And all of these kids have to have these permanent heart conditions to save grandma and grandpa so they can spend the next three years of their lives in total seclusion and total isolation. And that's how we save them. But, the total Abrahamic subversion is the anti-life subversion. And we can see that where they put funerals at our fertility festivals and they put, all of these different, because, they hated all the other gods. You had to get rid of them. You had to subvert them in a way. And, what they'll say all the time is that, oh, but people were sacrificing their kids. They won't tell you which people. They won't tell you which people were sacrificing their kids, because that was them too, right? So you can see this in another good example of child sacrifice.
I like how you politely use the past tense.
Right. Yeah. Politely. Right. So turn with me in your Bibles this Sunday morning to Judges. I would love to do a Bible study with this in an actual church. This would be fun. Judges chapter 11, verses here we go, 29 through 40. I don't know. Did I do this one before?
Not that I remember.
Well, let me see here. Share this tab. Let's see here. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Jephthah, or Jephthah, and he crossed Gilead to Manasseh and passed through Mitzvah of Gilead, and there he advanced against the Ammonites. But this is the part right here that you need to pay attention. The Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah. That's how you say it. Whatever comes out, he goes, and Jephthah made a vow to the Lord, if you give me the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph from the Ammonites will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. So he's making a promise to God that anything that comes out of his door, he will sacrifice. Then Jephthah went to go fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gave them into his hands. He devastated 20 towns from Aor to the vicinity of Minnith and as far as Abel Kerman, and thus Israel subdued Ammon. And when Jephthah returned to his home in Mitzvah, who should come out to meet him but his daughter, dancing to the sound of timbrels? She was only a child. Except for her, he had neither son nor daughter. And when he saw her, he tore his clothes and cried, oh no, my daughter, you have brought me down, and I am devastated. I have made a vow to the Lord that I cannot break. My father, she replied, you have given your word to the Lord. Do to me just as you have promised. Now the Lord avenged you of your enemies, the Ammonites. But grant me one request, she said. Give me 2 months to roam the hills and weep with my friends, because I will never marry. You may go, he said, and he let her go for 2 months, and she and her friends went into the hills and wept because she would never marry. After the 2 months, she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed, and she was a virgin. From this comes the Israelite tradition that each year a young woman of Israel go out for 4 days to commemorate the daughter of Jephthah, the Gilead. Isn't that strange?
Where's the part where he kills her?
He did to her what he had vowed.
He kills her. This is a perfect passage as to why I could never read the Bible. Like even before he kills her, it's like talking about smiting the other places around him and taking over.
It's very interesting, Ethan. Especially that the Old Testament is a very interesting read, because I might be a bit biased because I did biblical studies and even taught a little for a while, but it's just this God that, for the sake of one single village or people or nation, destroys everything in their past, right? It's like it's promoting peace and order to their people, or his people, and killing everything else. For instance, in the desert, when they struck those cities down, it was not for them to live there. They were just passing by. So if they were passing by, why the hell are they going to destroy the complete city down just to pass by it, right?
I'm not sure if he was a god or a military general. Because that's what they're doing as they operate. No, I'm only
insane.
Being silly, but it's just how they're fighting still to this day, right now.
And then they give you a New Testament with this guy that say, no, give the other face. Just if they strike you, you just give the other face. And if they want to kill you, let them kill you. Let them have their will. So you are just here for peace and tolerance and no rebellion whatsoever. Said by the same guy that eventually went to a temple and destroyed everything because they were selling trinkets in it. But and I'm just being facetious here. But it's such a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament that we have to question ourselves: is this the same God, or somehow mid books they decided to change from one to another? Because one
Well,
is a psychopath murderer, and the other one is just a hippie pacifist that
what
do
if
to me what you want to.
that's the whole purpose? So the one you're talking about is Matthew 5:39. So let me see if I can pull up Matthew 5:39, because I think what everybody misses is the first part about that. They're thinking about the striking, but they're not seeing the first part.
And that's why people were forbidden to have the Old Testament.
Exactly.
So even my mother, she only had access to the New Testament probably after the 80s, because until then the church only give them some small books with sections of the New Testament, not even the whole book, right? So I know that in Americas you have this tradition of everybody has a Bible for probably 200 years more or so, but in Europe that didn't happen. People didn't have access to the Bible. So it's a very recent thing from the 20th century to have access to the whole Bible. So
So Ashley thinks it's not the same person.
well,
Right? It's not the same God. Well, look at the first part of that slap you on the cheek verse right there. What does that
hmm,
say? But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. So it might be the same God, right? He's telling you don't resist an evil person because he's
yes.
an evil person, right? So what they're saying there is don't resist the evil person. Take as much as they can give you. So that kind of actually goes along with what the God of the Old Testament is saying when you're sacrificing your daughter. It's don't resist those guys.
Yeah,
Don't look at those guys as bad people.
it's like the conquest of that city, and the general comes out and says to the bishop, "My lord, there are faithful inside this city. What should we do?" And the bishop tells him, "Just kill them all. God will know which one are his." So
Right?
it's like it just doesn't matter. It's a bit. And Ethan, tell me, this is a bit like in the battle that it's we can see in the Mahabharata, right? The one of the demigods is asking, I don't know if he's Indra or who is it, but he's telling him, but my lord, if we go into this battle, lots of people are going to die, right? Both on our side and their side. No matter who comes out victory, there will be lots of death. And the god replies to him, and that is a problem. It's no matter. It's all a matter of life and death is just a passage of time. It doesn't matter if you're alive or dead because everything is in the circle of Brahma or something like that. He explains to him that lives are completely expendable. And to a person that is in that position, it doesn't matter life and death, they are above that, although they never die, they keep living. It's only the others that keep dying and be recycled and coming back again in reincarnation. So this is a team that is across cultures in this war gods, because that's what they are instigating populations into fight one another, right? And we see this as a cross-cultural cross religious event, I think.
Well, it brings up the idea that maybe religions were made as a way of moral subversion, right? So, how do you get
Oh,
people to go against their base instincts? Well, give them a god and then tell them that the god wants them to kill.
Yeah.
I think you put that tale really well, Ricardo, and I think he furthermore kind of gives him the choice where it's like you can submit, they're going to just kill you, or you can fight back. I would fight back. And again, it's just kind of this interplay. And I think Headless, to what you're saying, or the point of the control systems and instigation of this institutional morality instead of kind of what might be considered an inborn morality, is the prohibition of pork, which is really based on the desert culture, the desert environment, and the restrictions of water for raising pork. It's a really water dependent. So the powers
That is
that
not
be,
the
of
reason.
course, prohibited it.
That's not the reason.
Oh.
It's because they found out that pigs don't lay eggs. That's why they changed to the rabbit.
Ah, there we go. See, I
Right.
had the idea.
I mean, there's all kinds of different abstracts to it, but I think that is a big, qualifier for why they prohibited pork, because people wanted it. That's why they had to prohibit it, right? But it was so water dependent.
So, I was told in my biblical studies that it was forbidden because there was at that time, as we have through the decades that we've been here, there have been periods where pigs are carrying diseases, or there is some kind of problem with pigs. And so
Sure.
what happens is a confusion between a time sensitive solution and applying it for eternity. It's like the Jews cutting the prepucius of the penis. It's because they were having a crisis of infection. If they weren't going to so many whores, that wouldn't happen. But they were having a crisis, and so the solution for a better cleaning, it was to cut the skin of the penis, so it always exposed. It doesn't get the problems that were getting into that area, right? And so that was the
All of
momentary
these things
solution.
kind of have these
And
monothematic points.
But then, because these people are psychopaths, if I had to cut mine, you are going to cut yours, because you'll see how it hurts, right? So it keeps on going, and they then say it's forever, because after a while, after a few years, there is no problem with pork meat, right? And if you remember in the
Right.
Bible, Jesus even says that the demons were all going to the pigs, and then he chased the pigs are sent into the precipice and all killed, right? Because they were creating serious problems to the villages and so on, because the pigs were carrying a disease. But that is just a thing of the moment. It doesn't mean that 2,000 years later we still can't eat pork when the problem is already solved. So
Sure.
I think I decoded it.
Particularly with the Islamic prohibition of it, it came later, right? So it was kind of either building on this monothematic idea that they've all put forth in all these different traditions. It's just a monothematic solution towards a problem that was passing and a long time ago. But
Who
I
had
think
the pigs? I think the real question is who had the
royalty.
pigs.
Royalty.
No, it wasn't royalty.
In the Islamic
it was the
cultures,
Philistines. In Islamic cultures, right? Over in the Mesopotamian, that's what it starts out with. They talk about the first pigs were originally domesticated in the Fertile Crescent, right? Turkey, Syria, Iraq, around 8,500 to 9,000. But who was the one in contact with the people in that area? That would be the Philistines and other sea
peoples. Yes.
Yeah, so European stock pigs, right? So what they were doing is they're saying, you don't eat the pigs because those Philistines are eating the pigs. That's why they're unclean. That's why they're dirty. That's why we put the demons into those Europeans. We throw our demons in the Europeans.
And I find it funny because in Portugal, my grandmother would still call someone a Philistine when she wanted to say that he was a bad person or an evil person.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's still used, that word, you Philistine. So it's funny.
That's wild.
And I think that it's also funny that no one knows who the sea peoples were. That's what they keep telling us. They don't know. But in here, it's the Philistines and other sea people. So the Philistines were sea people. That's what they're saying in here, right? Which I find it interesting.
Yes. Well, this
Fascinating.
is also kind of interesting. So again, the Philistines were the neighbors to these Jewish people. And in First Samuel 18:25 through 27, David kills 200 Philistines, double the requested 100, and delivers the foreskins to King Saul as a dowry to marry his daughter. So, all of these European peoples are talking about this King David guy as being their sort of ancestor, like he's our king, right? But this is the guy who's actually killing the European Philistines and delivering a big pile of these foreskins to the
Help me.
fathers as
What is a
dowry.
foreskin? Can you? Because I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know either. Mine's gone too. Where the hell's my foreskin?
Do you know, Ethan? What is a foreskin?
It's a part of the male genitals.
So it's the prepucius. It's what is cut to
Yes,
Yes.
on the circumcision. Is that it?
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's
So
why
after killing these people, they'll go grab their penis, pull the skin, and cut the skin and bring it to a king.
and
Was it?
So
and he
married the
was so
king's
fanatic
daughter.
about it, he doubled it. He got the dowry request of 100 and he doubled it.
Yeah, that's the value of life. Why can I kill 100 when I can kill 200? Why only do 100? There's so many of them. Let me kill another group of them.
He's got a big pile of them right there.
But this is the figure that was just sold to kids this year. It's the great movie from Disney. It's David.
Yeah, it is. Teach those kids about the foreskins.
Do they show him cutting 200
Of
skins of
course
penises?
not. Of course not. Come on, man. They're going to sanitize this book for all the little children so that they can become good lambs for the.
Oh no, but that is the I believe forgive me. There's a text that is kind of the subtext that Catholic school children will get. It's not the whole Bible. It's the canonical or how is it pronounced? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Canonical?
Canonical?
Is it the canonical? It's basically a shortened book of biblical teachings as what one might call monotheistic training for young people, and it's not the whole Bible. The whole Bible is not taught in Catholic school traditionally.
No, and the Catholics, I think they had a good point in trying to make the entire world illiterate so they couldn't read this book. I think they might have been onto something. Why would you want people reading this stuff?
Monotheism is just so flawed. It's just scary, and it's like
not monotheistic. There are three of them.
Well, but they're monothematic. I think they are all monotheistic in their approaches, however different they may be.
You have God, the Holy Spirit, and Christ. But they are only one, but they are three. But they are only one. So this idea of monotheistic.
What's more important is their behavior systems that we kind of went over here, and you actually described eloquently, Ricardo, the one-ism solution for what is a temporary and localized little problem that is then mandated in this one-wayism. This monothematicism is the most dangerous approach. I mean, and I think that is what is more determinable of monotheists, not the belief in one God or the tripart God or this and that. It's the psychological behavior model of monothematicism.
Yeah, but that's the problem with our conception of what is our reality in terms of religion and culture. Because Sunday is from the English Sunandaig and directly translates the Roman Die Sols, the day of the sun. Okay? Monday, Moon's Day, is from an Old English Monandag. It matches the Roman Dies Lunae, the day of the moon. Tuesday is Stig's Day. After Tyr, the Germanic god of war and justice, replaced by the Romans as martyrs of Day of Mars, of Day of War, whatever you want to call it. Wednesday, it's Woden's Day, after Woden, Odin, the chief Germanic god associated with wisdom and magic, and corresponds to the Roman Dies Mercury, Day of Mercury. So Thursday, obviously, is Thor's Day, after Thor, Tunor, the thunder god, and stands in for the Roman Dies Lovis, the days of Jupiter. Friday is Freyg's Day, or Freya's in some interpretations, after the Germanic goddess of love and marriage, and replaces the Roman Dies Veneris, or Day of Venus. Saturday, obviously, Saturn's Day. It's the only one that remains in his pure Roman name, Dies Saturni, Day of Saturn, and it doesn't have a Germanic god substitution. So our lives are embedded in paganism
Yep.
that no one realized because it's so are so
Ubiquitous.
yeah it's something you don't question, right? But if you
How did they get all those pagan gods into our holy days? I mean, shouldn't it just be Jesus Day, Jesus Day, Jesus Day, Jesus Day? I mean, come on.
but it's sun the sun has always been their god, their adoration, right? So it's Sunday is the day of the god, is this day of the sun.
I've heard interpretations that in an esoteric and symbolic sense that Christianity is monothematic with the sun, Islam is monothematic with the moon, and
Yes,
Judaism is monothematic with the stars.
or
So
Saturn.
Well,
the
I would
moving,
say that
please.
the stars and Saturn, I think those have a lot in common. Like, have you guys looked into the electric universe theory, where they were talking about how Saturn was actually the first sun, and they were
Hmm.
talking about, this was sort of the golden age when Saturn was at the center of the solar system, as opposed to the other sun that sort of took its place.
Yeah, that's
It's an
interesting
odd way
because
of thinking of it.
the failed star, which never was, but the failed star is Jupiter. Jupiter is a failed star. So it's something that began agglomerate and gaining mass, and just a little bit more mass, and it would have fusion inside, and it would become a star. But it never got big enough or gained mass enough to do that. So we now could be in a binary star system, as most of systems are, binaries and trinaries. The rare thing is being a solar system with just one star, as we are.
It's a good thing we're not, actually. Could you imagine being
Another
stuck between the sun and Jupiter, both on fire all the time? You would never get a taste of peace.
Whoa! I think they wouldn't be able to get out with the global warming thing because it would be
Oh,
obvious.
that would be obvious. Yeah.
But still, a double sunset would be something
another
to look upon.
another pagan influence of our modern Christian and biblical understandings from the four Gospels. I think, from the four sons of Horus, and even I would make the parallel with the four aspects or characters of the allegory of the cave. We get the four Gospels, right? I think they were kind of relating the power of the four unit in the sons of Horus with the four Gospels.
Oh, no doubt. I think that's a very interesting connection too, because this is where you get the tetramorph, is from the four
Sure.
gospels, and you see all of these different characters with the different heads right here, right? Four sons of Horus right here. We've got the the man-headed one, the hawk-headed one, the ram-headed one, and the Anubis-headed
Anubis.
one. Well, have you ever seen the tetramorph?
And the right, isn't it the crocodile?
All right, so these represent the four gospels, right? So you've got the four-headed beast again, and so they're just encoding this in a very different way. And these are the four gospels, and
And
so
isn't there also the four horsemen of the apocalypse? Aren't they
Mhm.
also four?
Absolutely, right? And so this is a very, very ancient tradition that's just been re-encoded over again into the Bible. And you've also got Faunus Protogonos, right? Faunus Protogonos, light the firstborn. And Faunus Protogonos also has these four heads, right? Inside of his belly, right? You see him? Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah. So the four-headed, originator of all is present in all of these different traditions. This is a very, very ancient practice,
Oh,
and they
and he
put
has
that.
hoofs on fire.
Well, that's the Orphic egg, right? So this is the top part of the egg. This is the bottom part of the egg. So he bursts out of the Orphic egg, and you can see the snake wrapped around him right
Mhm.
here. And what that snake represented, the seven different wrappings of that snake are the seven planets, right? Wrapping around. And this would be sort of like the explosion of light, or as they call it today, the Big Bang, right? So this represents light, the firstborn. That's what Faunus Protogonos means.
What is on the right hand?
Up here?
On the right hand of the statue.
Oh, he's holding a staff in his, well, that would be his left, but in his right hand, he's also got the lightning bolt of Jupiter or Zeus,
It looks like that Indian object,
Vajra.
the Vajra.
Yep, you've got the Vajra, and over here you see all of these symbols. These are the signs of the
The
zodiac.
zodiac, yeah.
Yeah, and behind his
So,
back is the horns of the moon,
Oh.
wow, beautiful.
right?
So I've been questioning the four elements, if you will, for lack of a better term, for a while, as everyone knows. I just came across the most eloquent Buddhist story pertaining to the four elements, as we're talking here. And there is a monk who questions, from where does earth, fire, water, and wind come from? Where do these originate? And he goes on a quest to Mount Meru. Mount Meru in Buddhist and Indian cosmology, I believe by extension, is the center of the universe. And it is where there are different levels of beings, higher and higher gods, if you will. And he goes to Mount Meru. He makes his way there, and as he's traveling, he's constantly asking, from where do the four elements originate? And he goes through the multiple levels of Mount Meru, and all the lower gods, if you will, that he interacts with say, wow, that's a great question. Go up higher. I bet they'll know. And he keeps going higher, and he eventually comes to Brahma, the original ultimate God. And he presents his question to Brahma. And Brahma says, I am I am the most original and amazing God. And he asks him, I think, three or and each time the first three times rather, he announces his proclamation of how wonderful he is, and then the fourth time he takes him to the side and he says, other people were listening, and so that's what I just wanted to tell you, because everyone thinks I know everything, but I do, but I do not know from where the four elements originate.
Well, it's interesting that the rock is sort of symbolized also as this Orphic egg, right? So the egg and the rock birth are seen as sort of like synonymous. And Sun Wukong, the Chinese deity, that is born of a rock,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you've also got Mithras, born of a stone that looks like an egg, right? And he's surrounded by these symbols of the zodiac as well. So you've got this rock born or egg born deity that is also present with the birth of Zeus, right? So Zeus is replaced with a rock, and then Kronos eats the rock instead of eating Zeus. So Zeus is free to roam, and the rock is eaten in his place, and that rock ends up becoming the omphalos, or the stone that is the middle of the world, or
Or the universe, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
right.
And
And so, yeah, rockborn, or eggborn, take your pick. But there
and,
is that same idea repeating over and over and over again.
and you
Here's
were
the
showing
significance of that.
eggs. You were showing eggs with a snake around it. So it's again the symbol of the snake. Could be the snake that helped to crack the egg, like the snake make Eva commit the sin of knowledge, right? And here it's the snake again breaking the egg and releasing this being from inside.
Right. Well, you've also got the zinc calcium reaction that happens at conception. So, as the snake or the sperm enters the egg, there is a flash of light, they
A
call
flash
it.
of light. Yeah, they just detected it last year.
Yeah, Fanes protogonos, light the firstborn. So there is this idea of maybe they were sort of seeing this symbolic reaction as a constant throughout all these different things. So here we have the snake entering the egg, and then once the snake has entered the egg, you have zinc sparks coming out from the egg, right? So Fanes protogonos, right? Light the firstborn. So maybe there's something to this whole symbolic representation of reality that a lot of people don't think about today, because they're not thinking about these symbols in a way that is, I guess, meaningful. They're just all isolated instead of all being connected. And once you start to connect these symbols, you start to understand it a little bit better, right? The four elements constantly being present, that seems to be a near constant. The egg birth, or the stone birth, the first utterance of life, that seems to be a constant. So what are we missing? Probably a lot, because we're taking things literally instead of symbolic.
And what about the fifth element?
That would that be the light? So
It's ether, more
Well, I
like
think the
spirit.
fifth element,
Is the
the
spirit.
fifth element is the activator. It is the spirit, certainly, and it is the subtle activator of the four elements. I think it's very much like our hands, right? You have your four fingers, and the activator of the thumb really puts it all together. But there are different ways to look at the four and five elements.
Because indulge me. Imagine that somehow someone managed to on the process of dying somehow realized that he could have from the other side some form of control on this side, right? Like any other advantage over humans, it is bound to be explored sooner or later by someone that finds that. Because when I see the abandonment of all the religious leaders or starters, not the persons that we see today, but I'm talking about the origins of these religions, the origins of these concepts, the idea that the soul is immortal, and the fact that they are completely they don't care about life, because to them is like, to you being live or dead, it's like this being a simulation. It's like they are in the game where people kill npcs all the time, right? Because it doesn't matter, they will spawn again eventually. So I have to question myself. I have these people on their passage, or were given some kind of knowledge that makes them still part of the simulation, but with the knowledge that it is a simulation. And then when you pass on, there is something on the other side, and you know that this is all a game. It's all a cycle, and then you lose the respect of life. It doesn't matter if you kill a child or if you are the most obscenest.
I don't know if I don't know if they're losing the respect of life is the quality that ends up being told that they gain. It reminds me of the bodhisattva idea, right? In some Buddhism, where people return to help others ascend and become more enlightened, if you will. Um, but but I think there's a story that kind of reminds me of what you're saying. Um, the I never remember names. I remember the essence, so forgive me with the names. But one Indian god is missing, and several other gods are looking for him, and they can't find him anywhere. And they realize he's on Earth. He's reincarnated as, funny story, a pig. And he's in the farm, and he's a pig, and he has a wife pig and several piglets, and he is a happy being. And they go and they find him in this situation, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And of course, he does not remember them and does not want to have anything to do with them. His life as a pig is extraordinary, and he loves it. And they kill him. And he
They
says,
killed the
"Oh my
pig.
God." Oh, yes, they killed the pig. And he says, "Oh my gosh, thank you. I was so attached to this life. I forgot I was a god and had other things to do." So I think in essence, there is this kind of quandary, if you will, in that story, right? Does killing matter, and does,
Matters at all? Yeah.
well, I mean, I think it does, though. Like, for me personally, like, and I think Ricardo too. Would you sleep well if you were killer of beings? Probably not.
No, but the fact is, our perceptions in relation to that completely change when we are playing a game, right? If you are playing GTA 5, for instance, there is 90% of users, all they do is standing somewhere sniping people that is crossing on the streets or in the cars, or there is no respect at all for life, for the police system, for right. Uh,
It's part
so
of your job.
so my question is how far, how big is the distance between we doing that in a game? Because for instance, myself, I have this defect that even when a game, I try to be as honorable as possible. I
That's
try I try to be in the game as in I try to be in life. I don't kill people unless I can't finish the game without doing it, right? But if you translate that to life, is as bad as the one that is just having fun, killing everybody, right?
well. Here's a great way of gamifying reality here. So I brought up the Kelly Pote or the Clifthoth, right? So in the Kabbalistic tradition, sparks of light, phanes protogonos, nitzerot, divine fragments trapped within the Cliptoth, shells or husks, right? So if you're thinking about it from that birth perspective, I guess we would be the shells or husks, and that light would be the important part, right? Which are chaotic, parasitic forces representing the other side of holiness. These sparks fell during the cosmic breaking of the vessels, right? Breaking of that cosmic egg. And the process of tikkun olam involves human actions redeeming these trapped sparks to restore cosmic balance. The citation here is Chabad Lubavitch. Details regarding the sparks of light in the Cliptoth include, according to Lurianic Kabbalah, when the vessels of the Sephirot shattered, divine light became imprisoned within people. We've got to free them from the prison of material evil realms, right? The nature of the shells, the Kelipot are described as shells or husks. The Citra Atra, the other side, which conceal, distort, or feed on this divine energy. You're just a bunch of parasites feeding off of the spirit. Sparks are redeemed through human action, often mundane, holy, and intentional acts, releasing them from the shells like World War III, returning them to the divine source like World War III. The existence of these sparks in darkness serves as a spiritual challenge to turn darkness into light, transforming negative living energies into a refined soul, dead energies. When all the sparks eventually are freed from the Kelly Pod, it is believed that the Messianic era will begin, freeing the world from impurity of living. How dare us? But, it kind of goes into the idea, too, that, before the monotheistic religion about the permanence of the soul in the afterlife, right? It was normal to see the world as being constantly reborn, right? You had a constant reincarnation. The way that you stop the evil cycle of putting these sparks back into everybody's bodies so that we can spend eternity with God is by destroying the whole planet. That's the only way that you can make sure that none of these sparks are brought back into this dirty matter. So once everybody is dead, we can spend eternity with our Creator because those sparks of light will return to that source.
Imagine for a second that is
It's just
true.
maddening.
No, imagine that is true. Imagine that this is just some form of game, like Total Recall, right? Have you seen Total Recall, Ethan?
Of course.
Okay, so imagine that this is just a machine that we just laid on somewhere, right, for fun. And then we realize that we are stuck to that machine until the game ends. There is no stopping middle process.
I think these are very much kind of parallels with what truth might be, really. But I think that the decision making to take that possibility and then decide to thus terminate everything, that is action of really poor karma. I don't think, and monotheists, I tend to think they take on the action of doing things towards what their God would want. I don't think God or systems beyond the machine or the development of other souls require our input. I think that is the problem where we try to insist that we could have an effect on the development of this by termination or
Who
other
is the original?
negative.
Who is the original monotheist? I would say it's Plato. Plato's theory posits that the physical world is a shadow of higher eternal realm of forms, perfect, unchanging ideals, beauty, justice, goodness. Souls are the immortal pre-existing in this realm and gain true knowledge by recalling these forms, trapped within the body and separated from the true reality, TM. So, where did they get the idea of monotheism from? Probably from Plato. And what did they gain from that? Well, the souls are all trapped in this dirty,
Yeah,
disgusting
it's
reality.
always the same talk. Yes, it's always the same thing. And
Hmm.
and but isn't Akhenaten before Plato?
Yeah, but I don't know if it was necessary. Well, they did have the idea of the light coming from the
The
sun,
sun,
inhabiting the bodies. Again, soul,
soul,
right?
sun.
Soul being brought down from the sun. But I don't know if they were so into the idea of cleansing this
No,
this
I mean the
dirty
monotheistic. He
world.
tried to put the monotheistic. That's what historians tell us. He tried to
Yeah,
implement
that's what they
monotheism
say.
in
Yeah.
Egypt, right? And
There was there was another group of monotheists in China in the ancient time period too. But that's what they kind of say. You're right, Ricardo, that there was and in Egypt, and I forget what the god in China was in very ancient history that was also monotheistic and also highly rejected, just like in Egypt.
yeah. And you have the legend of Amaterasu in Japan. So although it's a polytheistic uh, religion, when they tell the legend of Amaterasu, Amaterasu is the sun, basically. And so Amaterasu was tired of human voices and commotion and all that. And so retired to a cave. And once he entered the cave, the world was drowned in darkness. And so every single god came to the door of the cave with the humans, plead for a long time for her to come back and bring light back into the world. And
So it was
she
a
eventually,
feminine son.
he is a feminine son, and so if she eventually conceded and returned and brought light back to the world, so you see a polytheistic religion. At that moment they became monotheistic because it's clear that without the sun, the goddess of the sun, there was no earth to experience because everything was drowned in darkness and terror. And so,
Right. But that idea of the soul being connected to the sun and having that spark of life from the sun, I think, is seen as being a good thing in a lot of these pre-existing forms. And then once you've got this sort of more monotheistic influence, then it's a bad thing that all of the sun is trapped in this dirty reality. So it becomes an inversion of what was once a celebration of life into now a funeral. And so we used to have this fertility ritual associated with spring, and now it's transformed into a funeral. So instead of the fertility ritual and celebrating life, now we are mourning death. And
And
this is the Abrahamic inversion, I think.
another aspect of that is, or and kind of examples the perversion, is the 40 days of Lent is noted to be a time of sacrifice. The true metaphysical understanding would be don't eat meat and don't partake in things that are excessive. Personally, the perversion of that is to, of course, hurt others. This is, Mark Passio famously had done the research on it more than anyone. Take it for what you want, but he points out that during this time period, the 322 time period, and up to now, I believe, is the 40 days of sacrifice, and he points out how often there is war and ridiculous killings by these, what we refer to as governments. And look what happened this year, of course, the murderous bombing in Iran and so forth.
Well, the 40 days never end, right? So we went over the 40 days, right? So 40 is the result of dividing 64, which would be 8 times 8, by phi. And so that phi ratio divided into 64 gives you 40 days of hardship, right? But once you make it through those 40 days, that's the completion. That would be the beauty of that thing. And so it's all encoded right there into the numbers themselves. And that's why 40 becomes this very potent symbol of sacrifice, right? All of these 40s over and over again.
And initiation and development too.
yeah,
Right.
because on one side you have a teaching that says that your body is sacred. It's a conjunction of both uh, what is beneath and above. It's as above, so below. You have this divine experience of having this reality to play with. It is sacred. Your body is sacred. On the other hand, you have these extremes where they take these days where a selected lucky one will spend hours whipping himself and going through the city as he is whips himself with a thorns in leather, which actually are ripping the skin, and going through all the process of torture that supposedly Christ went through until he got to the cross. And those people are actually ripping off the flesh of their body. So it's a complete opposite of this body being sacred. Preserve it because it's your suit to live in here if you want to live in this reality. Otherwise, you can't. and on the other side is a complete destruction, as is the case of Fatima. One of the things that I always debated in church classes is, why is this mother of Jesus that appears in the sky talking to three little shepherds, and why is he telling them to torture themselves? One of the kids, because she said, cause pain to your own bodies to release the souls in hell, right?
Mm,
And so
mm.
and
Yeah.
so they would prey on thorns.
Oh my God.
They would, one of the kids grab a stone and broke his own teeth to cause himself pain to release the creatures from hell. And this lady was telling these kids to do terrible things to themselves, right? And this is the whole story of the three secrets of Fatima that was passed to these three little shepherds. But I always
Visions of
question,
hell.
yeah, I always question, why is this holy lady telling three children to hurt themselves as bad as they can? It doesn't seem very godly to me, right? It doesn't seem something that is Christian, and
Well,
still it's the most adored and the most famous probably place in the world is the sanctuary of Fatima, where these things happen, where thousands of people witnessed the sun coming down to earth, and then the voice was speaking to these three children. So it is undeniable because thousands of people watched it, because it happened three times, and the second and third time even reporters were there. Everybody that could be there was there. So, but this part of the light and the voice telling the children to commit terrible acts against themselves only appears in the books that they of the inside the Catholic Church. You can't see them otherwise. I doubt that you can buy anything that shows that.
well, right. How thin is the layer between a reverence for this life and a feeling of holiness for this life, as opposed to wanting to destroy the flesh and wanting to destroy the gifts that you've been given so that you can achieve some sort of higher goal and higher standard that is not visible, right? So, do
This, I
we?
think, is the ultimate polarity, right? Is this unconscious, they'll depict it in the cartoons with the bad devil and the good devil on, or angel on one side, right? But we effectively, and we can see this in other people's really easy, and in ourselves perhaps. We effectively have a dual system where one side is seeking death for these very kind of philosophical attributes that are depicted in these Gnostic kind of parallel, but other perversions that we've kind of been covering, where death is the solution. And then there's the other side, the more noble side that is seeking immortality. And I think this is the interplay of religion and our psyche constantly. And pardon me for interjecting when you're finishing, Headless. It just made me think
Well,
of that.
no, I mean you've got the symbol of your Savior who is now on a cross dying, right? That's the salvation is through death, right? There's no salvation in life, right? The Soter was a deity that would protect you in life, and now it's the Soter actually protects you in death, right? So soteriology was a very well-known thing back in the ancient days. The Soter was what protected you in this life. Well, in the Christian soteriology, you've got the dying Savior that is there to help usher your soul into paradise. And what do you do in paradise? You just all day you sing and bow and put your face to the ground, and you are in this dismal darkness of heaven somehow. And that dismal darkness is how you worship this ultimate truth, which tells you that all you can do is pray and worship and praise it all day. So we're getting these inversions left and right. Oh, excuse me. All these inversions lead to total denial of reality. It's the ultimate schizophrenia. Like there is no reality. This is all fake. Everything here is void. It's nothingness. And the only thing you can do is destroy this so that you can have eternity, which is very platonic.
Yeah, it isn't that what is behind the Silver Surfer?
Oh yeah. The consumer of worlds.
Yeah.
He goes before. He is the
Mm.
herald, and it's funny because he's silver. He's mercurial, right? Very mercurial, and what comes behind him, he's the herald of this devourer of planets, and he's so hungry that he has to devour entire planets. I forget his name. Let me pull it up.
And how many of the villains that we've seen just wants to create total destruction, going to nothing, as you were describing?
A
I
lot.
was going to say
Well, he
there's.
was
Go
he was
ahead.
granted all of his cosmic powers from near limitless energy, right? So this is like immortality in some ways. And I guess Thanos is one of the people he fought too. But the idea there is that, he's the mercurial energy that comes before the devourer of worlds. I guess that devourer of worlds, according to the Kabbalah, would be the purifier, right?
Hmm.
He's getting rid of these disgusting husks, these shells, right? Purifying it with death.
I never looked at the Silver Surfers comic in this Gnostic hermetic sense. That's amazing.
I'm sorry.
No, that's amazing. The mercurial, he rides the surfboard, if you will, between dimensions and wherever he wants. It's like it's just right there.
Galacticus, that's who he's serving.
Galacticus, yes,
Tactic.
that's it. But
Let's
it's
see here.
just this constant, because even the rich and powerful, they try to live the best life they can. They treat themselves to any excess. There is no limit to these top echelons. And even if they have the concept that this is just a transitory state, that the reality is on the other side after death, and so on and so forth, I don't see none of them trying to get out of it very quickly. We see them to go very old indeed, and enjoying as much as they can. So there is somehow a contradiction between this, the other
Well, no, I
side.
think that's a perversion that is consistent, right? Relative to the idea of the more devotee being in a sacrifice state of humbleness and non-excessiveness. So what's the perversion of that? That's what they're doing, right? I think it's consistent.
Well,
Yeah, but
it's funny. So, if you're going to put this into a political context, the elites that can feed themselves with all of our stuff, right, have to constantly be on the move because their justification for their hunger is that they're purifying the world of impurities. And so they're constantly on the lookout for new worlds, and they have to depend on these heralds to go before them to make the judgments for them as they are devouring planets. And
It's
in a lot of
it's
ways,
very archontic too, of course, as I don't think we brought that word up to Galacticus being an archon, a devourer of worlds.
well, the weak are meat and the strong do eat. So it's
very
this is
true.
this is from Cloud Atlas. So and I know I keep going back to this, but it's just the fact that the justification used that they can do whatever they want here because this is just not real, that frees them of any kind of morality, allows
Mhm.
them to practice anything they want, no matter how tragic it is, because it's all transient. None of this is real or constant, right? So this is more like their Disneyland. They're here. They were born in a privileged position, and they're going to enjoy it as much as they can, with no conscience, with no restraints. They just do what they want because, and the pleas and of the public matters nothing of the innocent, because this is not
Temporary.
real. Yeah, it's just not real. So it's the perfect excuse, be it real
And
or accurate or not. It's the perfect excuse.
what about this whole monothematic eschatology, end times, apocalyptic mind state? If everyone's going to die anyway, does it matter if you hurt them?
Sure.
So that's the type of perversion thinking that I think is going on through
I
this.
don't intend to die, but yet most people will. Yes, I agree.
Right, but I'm just saying that a potential perversion in that negativity is more negativity
Yes.
as we see so often.
And
Well,
that's the adoration of the dark forces.
Yep.
here's a good example. So I know I'm bashing Plato today, but I'm going to be doing that next week. So next Saturday, if you tune in,
Good to be
I'm
critical.
yeah, I'm doing a debate against a bunch of Platonic philosophers. This is going to be fun. So, experiments in creating Platonic communities, often focused on intentional, non-sexual, deep friendships or communal living, aim to combat social isolation and create new support structures outside of traditional romantic or nuclear family models. It's called communism, folks. So, intentional friendship, communal living experiments, some modern and historically long lasting, sometimes long lasting, shared property, cooperative farming, collective child rearing. These communities emphasize that shared labor and resources create robust, non consanguine, non blood kin networks. You're not supposed to have blood networks. Actually, he was kind of against that. So,
Isn't
uh,
I mean his kind of it's mostly in the Republic where he coordinates this idea or beyond it. Isn't it even worse than communism the way he puts it? Like it's
it
like
is.
diabolical. I think the positive potential in that is that he's leaving room for a debate and dialogue on that idea. That's what I kind of guess because it's so nauseating. His idea of the republic in the end, it's like horrible.
But
Right.
but all this has as a concept have parts that are not only much ancient than his own existence, but they were beneficial to societies. We know that, for instance,
Right.
even here before the Europeans started to come after, not the ones that came before, but after the ones that came after Columbus, that there was interchange of children. They were constantly interchanging children between tribes, and that's not necessarily for peace treaties kind of things, but for diseases
Their
protection, for
biological development, right?
for uh, cultural exchange, and even inside the village, the same village, the children would go around the village into every single house and learn different things because everybody on this village has a function, right?
Right. So I pulled up the Platonic ideal, right? Platonic friendships. The public universal friend. Born Jemima Wilkinson, July 1st, 1890 or 1819 was the death date there. Back in 1752, American preacher born in Cumberland, Rhode Island, to Quaker parents after suffering a severe illness in 1776. The friend claimed to have died and been reanimated as a genderless evangelist named the public universal friend, and afterwards shunned both the birth name and the pronouns in androgynous clothes. Friend preached throughout the northeastern United States, attracting many followers who became the Society of Friends. The Friends theology was broadly similar to that of most Quakers. Again, this is just the exemplification of.
I mean, it's
Isn't that
laughable
beautiful?
to me, but it's kind of sweet. He was not doing corrupt shit, right?
Well,
I don't
I
know.
mean, she
She looks
was,
like
but
she eats babies to
you
me.
expect.
She
Yeah,
looks at
she
that
kind of
face.
does.
She looks like she eats babies. I'm sorry, but that's what I
It's
see. Creepy.
we call her the friend. We call her the friend. But again, this is the ultimate denial of everything earthly, right? This is the ultimate denial of everything that is, all of the things that we kind of use to go forward with society. It's shunned all of those things, and now we just must have a scold telling us how we should live all the time with scolding looks.
And it's kind of creepy, the friend.
Yes, it is.
Right? Where are we
would
going?
not
We're
fly
going. We're
today,
going.
right?
You are
That
going to
would not
meet the
fly.
friend.
Nah,
Oh,
nah, not today, Mom. Please, no. Yeah, that would not.
Yes,
That
we
would not
must.
fly.
We must.
the curse of Platonism. It always happens. We're in it right now. I mean, what are they trying to do? They're trying to chop up these
It's
kids'
so
junk.
American.
Oh, well,
Well,
I think
Yikes.
if you take paternity and the protection of the nest, then children become vulnerable. There is no one to complain to. You can do with children whatever you want, and we all know that this Plato's and all of those that came before him and after him, they love the children. Bring me the children, right? Even says that women were distracting. It's fine. Sex with women, it's good, but it's very
Mm.
distracting. And boys, we just it's like that. We take it off our system and it's done. It's nothing. It's just something to alleviate the pressures of being human, of this foul
all,
body that forced me
all
to do these things.
desires. We have to
Yeah.
purge you of all desires. There is that
And
constant
and
sort of
it
theme.
reminds me, isn't there this kind of similar practice in Afghanistan? And I wonder if it was somehow connected to any other places, or if other places have this. You guys know what I'm talking
I
about?
think yeah, that's Afghanistan has the thing where these warlord priests get a bunch of little boys and dress them up like little girls, and they're kind of instilling in
Yeah.
them sort of because there's only one
'Cause you
homosexual
can't
for
hang out
every
with
town.
it's prohibited to hang out with a woman.
Right.
So
But you can dress up a little boy because again, it's the denial of the flesh. So anything that's procreative is seen as evil, and they constantly have this ban on procreation because this is seen as dirty. This is how you filthy up this world of divine sparks that are deep within you, and you can't. So all of these relationships have to be denormalized, and the denormalization of these, procreative relationships is seen as beneficial. And it's the same curse of Platonism that is affecting them too. And there's a reason why it spread that far. So, unfortunately, I think that comes through a lot of Buddhist influence because Buddha was before, any of this stuff going on in ancient Greece by 500 years, and they actually had Buddhist missionaries telling people in Greece, hey, you've got to deny the flesh, and Zeus actually serves Buddha, right? So Zeus would be the procreative force, right? He would go around the world making more babies, and they saw that as evil. So you've got to serve the Buddha, which is all about stopping that process. And now we have to bring it down to a much more rational level where we don't have any desires. And I think Buddha was a big influence on Plato. It was very much the axial age.
And even the Buddha itself, right? I understand that culturally, the fact that he suffers severe obesity uh, is kind of plenty, but plenty doesn't fit with Buddha because Buddha didn't want plenty, right? He wants it perfection, harmony, right? And still, he is presented to us as this person that will not live long because he is extremely fat, right? And this is how people see Buddha, not as a person that looked for harmony, peace, understanding, enlightenment. It's just this fat guy seated down, very fat guy, right? And considering their diets, I find it very hard that he would be a very fat man sitting down, right? So even there
I
is this
believe
duality of
I believe
opposites.
that there are multiple depictions of multiple Buddhas. Um, the general depiction of Mahatma Buddha. Forgive me if I'm messing. What his actual name is, I don't think was that, but
Siddhartha Gautama. That's
the
his
the
actual
the
name.
one we know. Thank you, thank you. He is not depicted as the fat Buddha. I don't think that is what's known as the laughing Buddha, who I might be from China. But there is a whole other Buddha, you know, lineage where different
Okay, headless. Try and find me a Buddha that is not
people
fat.
were.
Well, there are some, but I wanted to go over the Orphic hymn to Kronos real quick because I think this is what is fascinating to all of these philosophers and all of these Platonic types. So again, Kronos is seen as the architect, the divine architect of the universe, and so it starts out with ethereal father, mighty Titan here, great fire of the gods and men whom all revere, endued with various counsel, pure and strong, to whom perfection and decrease belong. Perfection and decrease. It's talking about entropy, right? Consumed by thee all forms that hourly die. Consumed by thee all forms that hourly die. By thee restored, their former place supply. So he is the one who's restoring them in spirit back to reality, back to life. The world immense and everlasting chains, strong and ineffable by thou power contained. So everything is contained by these forces of time. Father of vast eternity divine, almighty Saturn, various speech is thine. So all these different cultures from all over the world see this sort of Chronos character, this time character. Blossom of earth and thee of the starry skies, husband of Rhea, Rhea, important, and Prometheus' wife. That's an interesting one. Obstetric nature, right? So all of these things that are born, venerable root of all things, from which the various forms of being shoot. No parts peculiar can thy power enclose. Isn't that interesting? So he castrated his father, right? Parts peculiar. So castrating his father, the generative power. O best of beings of a subtle mind, subtle, right? Subtle. These changes are subtle. Propitious here, thy holy parts incline, prayers inclined. The sacred rites benevolent attend and grant us a blameless life and a blessed end. So before there was any of this Abrahamism, there was this Chronosism, and Chronos was the author of the golden age, right? When all forms of being were allowed eternity in this golden era before he decided to chop, right? So before, everything was destroyed by time, by this character, again, this is when everything was eternal and life affirming, and you got to live forever. So the golden age in Greek times, it was only men, and the men would go to sleep and go into the underworld to return again renewed every day, so they would never die. And then in this golden age, this Prometheus character decides he's going to spoil it by stealing fire from the heavens, right? And so in that act of aggression against the gods, by going against their will, he decides to bring fire to mankind, and they're able to maintain themselves, and they don't need the gods anymore, right? So there's this idea there. But what's interesting is Rhea also has this castle for a hat,
You know,
right? And we saw that in the very beginning. Rhea, the goddess, also has the same sort of castle hat that
yes, I
Tyche
asked
has.
you about the door. Yeah.
Right. So what's that about? Well, it's Father Time and Mother Space, right? Mother Space is sort of ignored, right? Let's see. Here's some good images. They're always popping up with this anime. Look at that hat.
Hmm.
Ooh, there's that hat again, huh? Right. So once you can start to put these pieces together, you see that Kronos has Rhea, Taiki has Kreus, the one about quality time, right? So once you can start to piece these things together, you can see, oh wait, oh actually, there's a lot of this stuff going on here. So Mother Space has to do with all of the world being born from Rhea, Kybali, right? She's also called Kybali, right? The ancient mother, and she has the idea of space and time coming together and giving you this reality. Well, the best way for us to stop this reality is to forget about the goddess, right? We've got to get rid of the goddess because we can't have people thinking about the generative principle. It's only one God, and that God is one of infertility, right? He never has children,
And they
right?
cut their noses so they can't breathe and die. Or
Oh
something.
yeah, who decided to cut all these noses off? Isn't that weird?
On every single thing. It's
May
just
may I say, Headless, that is a dope duality of polarity, right? Those two pairs. I'm actually mind blown by the personification potentially of these four elements that I've been contemplating recently from the Timaeus. And I believe it is talking about space, place, time, and mind. And I believe in a sense that that is what those four archetypes are embodying in a way. It's something I need to explore more, but something that's been on my mind recently that you just depicted in the gods. So
and
thank you.
and in me I've seen more and more, and today has been one after the other, these correlations between a primordial time
Hmm.
where things were immortal and perfect, and a time when they cease to be, because we had a series of breakthroughs in terms of medicine. First we find out that spark, right, that this happens when the fetus is born. Then we found out that we only don't regenerate constantly and live as long as we want, because there is something that was introduced into our body that suppresses constant regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a week or two ago, a new paper from Japan, I believe, tells us that they found an enzyme that suppresses teeth from growing. So, by suppressing the suppressing enzyme, they are now putting capable of putting people to grow a third layer of teeth. So people that have problems with teeth, we just would grow another one. If the teeth is going rot and fall down, we just grow another. There is process in our body to produce that, and all of that has been suppressed. And I've been finding time and time again that we are only fragile and mortal and subject to certain disease and death because these things were suppressed hormonally, in genetically suppressed in our bodies. Who did that? Who was the guy that decided to suppress these things in humans? And we go back in history and we see these kings living for thousands of years. Go to the Sumerian king list, right? Then even the king list of the Egyptians, that the academics accept everything but that list. That is false. The rest is true, but that part of the text is false, right?
Right.
So and who did that? Who decided to change the complete humanity? And to do that, did they have to kill everybody and start all over again?
How much you want to bet it was a person who looked exactly like the public universal friend?
Exactly.
You kind of see what
Got
I'm
me.
going with this. It's like these constant sort of
Well, and
archetypes.
at least of that
popping up.
mindset, not that she was necessarily.
Exactly.
I'm
No, go
sorry
ahead.
for my lag, but at least of the mindset of the, perversion. Not that that person, she might have been, could have been, whatever, right? But like that mindset that is not about the procreation, and in a sense not about the elder sacrificing for the youth, right? The other way around in the
Yeah,
perversion.
look, you had Bruce Lipton, probably from the 80s. He's being saying that he, as a biologist, found that there is no reason why the human body shouldn't regenerate, even by the will of thought, right? Of the will of the self, choosing not to, right? But I believe that not even in his wildest dreams, he would think that in decades to come, they will find that we were actually being suppressed in genetic level, that some thing or someone decided at a certain point, let's limit their age. But is there any writings about that? Isn't that this famous script that's saying let's limit the days of their lives, right? So all this coincidence takes planning, my friend. So something happened and people are still looking at aliens. It's not aliens, they are right here with us. We are the aliens, right? and
Right.
and we
Well,
have been suppressed
I think that's sort of the idea of living eternally in the spirit versus living eternally in the flesh.
in the
Is
flesh.
like we cannot focus on this life. We must focus on the afterlife, and anything that gets in the way of our focus on the afterlife is an evil thing,
Yeah, but
which is
all the
so
elites are
bizarre.
focused on here now, not on the
Exactly.
afterlife.
Exactly. So they're all looking for a technological cure for this life, but maybe there's a spiritual cure for this life. And what we have to do is find that balance within ourselves and live to the fullest within reason to achieve these things. And we don't have to go off the deep end in either direction to achieve that. Maybe it comes from a deeper understanding of ourselves and the soul that we've been given, that we can actually, kind of see things for how they really are instead of these massive deceptions. Because look, Rhea, right, this goddess of space, she's on a roaring lion, right? Where have we seen this idea before? This is the beast and the harlot, the what they call the scarlet whore.
And there's the doorway on the city on top of her head.
Right. What do they call it? Babylon, right? Because they're making these syncretisms and they're demonizing this life, right? The womb of the earth. That's to be demonized and suppressed, and we have to get rid of that.
Yeah,
Well,
from the moon to the sun. I just don't figure out what is she holding with her right hand.
she's got the staff with the
That's the
flower
left.
on
That's
top.
the left hand. I'm talking about the
Oh,
right hand
Might be a
she's got
symbol.
a symbol. A symbol.
of
Did you
eternity.
notice? No, no, no. It's the symbol. It's the timbrel, right? So this
Oh,
is
the
she's
sound. It's the
playing,
sound.
yeah, right. And so here's the thing: you remember that chapter in Judges where they talk about when he finally comes home, his daughter comes out playing the cymbal.
Yes, yes.
She's
Time to
playing the
die.
cymbal. She's
Time to
got to
die.
die. You've got the symbol. It's time to die. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, there could be a little bit of a linkage in there. If you've ever looked up Jephthah's daughter, she's actually got the headdress of Rhea. Uh,
Well, and the enunciation of the symbol, the sound making, and the symbology, right? That whole correspondence. It's always interested me.
oh, she's got Kybali's headdress, dude. She's got Kybali's fucking headdress on her head.
Mm.
And she's got the symbol in Kybali's headdress. And Kybali is just another name for Rhea. And
I
she's
was
got to
going to say
die
too,
playing the
the divine
symbol.
the divine is often displayed with even paired felines, but the feline and feminine correspondence really goes in
Yeah, but
multiple.
but think about it. When he says to the god, "Whatever comes out of my door, I will sacrifice to you." Does he have anything inside his door that it's not his own and treasured to him? Or was he expecting some slave to come out of the door?
I don't think it's something that we could make sense of because it doesn't make sense.
Well,
I think
again, you got to look at it from the
it's
Platonic perspective, right? You've got to
right. Well,
kill the
it's
body
that. But yeah,
to achieve
sure,
the
sure.
spirit. So, sacrifice the young because you have to save them from the suffering of
Yeah,
this
but
life.
it's never sacrifice the self. It's always sacrifice someone other's self, right? It's not that they are killing themselves. Otherwise,
Yeah,
there'll
it's
be no
perverted.
elites back.
I think
Right.
it's just perverted like that.
And the rites of Kybele include chopping off the junk, remember, in the
Yikes.
roaming concept. So how early or how late was this whole idea being perverted? Because the original Kubaba or Kybele, the Venus of Willendorf, was all about fertility. And what we see later on, again, like you find the same sort of the headband or the idea of the city
Yeah,
as
but
well.
No.
if you are a member of, let's suppose that you are a member of this elite far back in time, and you are creating a new dominion to yourself, you are going to promote fertility. You want your slaves to procreate and have as much people as they can, right? Because you need people to work the
Or
farms,
or
to
do
do
you want
whatever.
them to have a head trip about what you know that they're going to do anyway? You want to give them a head trip, I think.
Sure. And at a certain point, you say, okay, now you have enough numbers. Let's start the sacrifice. Bring the children to me. Let's start the
Mm.
sacrifice. We are enough, right? So
And
let's.
you've also got Tanit, and Tanit has the same idea of fertility and child sacrifice. And here you've got the two lions, right? And so it's this strange thing that is sort of constantly back and forth between fertility and death, and there's a eternal sort of comparison there. But
Hmm.
there was a great Kybele statue. I can't find it, but she's got the exact
But
same headdress.
but that fat one is very similar to what archaeologists call the Venus symbol.
Yeah,
The
that's where
fat
it
lady.
comes
The fat lady. Very
right
similar.
when the fat lady sings. Oh man. So yeah, there is that eternal concept there between Kybele, but I can't find the one with the major hat. Let me just look up Kybele hat. No, they don't have it.
Wow.
But here's a good example. So
Is
you've got the
is that one? You have the one beneath it. Oh, okay. You have another one on the images going down.
which one?
No, on the left, on the big screen. Yeah, that side. If you keep coming down, I thought that I seem to see saw another one in statue form. There it is. Oh,
Right there,
this. Yeah,
right? So in a lot of ways, you could see. Oh, look, what does that kind of look like? I
a
don't want to.
Smurfs. Smurf hat.
The
Smurfs,
fruit of the loom.
or it could be the tip of the
Fruit of-
penis.
Yeah,
You got to chop that.
that Propusius can. Okay.
Prapus. Ah, boy. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny how these things are so deeply connected all throughout history, and yet we kind of miss it.
But
Here
can
we
you
go.
imagine? Can you imagine how much fun these people that have this knowledge and are causing all these problems in the world have, looking at how oblivious people
This
are using
this is the
their
whole thing
symbols and
that this is why we don't know, right? Is because signs and symbols rule the world, not laws, right?
Right.
It's and when you don't know the signs and symbols, you're actually more ruled by them, and that's
Right.
why this is all
it's like
so
waking up in
symbolically powerful.
China and you don't understand what people are saying. It's the same thing.
Right.
Or you
And
have one reference of what the whole thing means, and it's usually to
Wrong.
get you in a fear mode, right?
Or in the wrong direction.
right. Well, it's interesting because the best way to suppress the signs and the symbols is to give everybody a new religion that sort of covers all of this up. And now, instead of thinking about things in these eternal concepts and these eternal symbols, that all gets betrayed and left behind for a new set of symbols that everybody thinks is the reality. But the ancients put a lot of thought into every single symbol that we see here. Every single thing has so much thought and so many connections to it that now, when you're completely without reference points, you have no idea what
Dear,
you're
what?
looking
Yeah, this can fill a book.
Yeah.
What is
at.
in that
One symbol,
statue can fill a book with details of what, and then they have multiple meanings for the same thing, because there is duality, and then there is uh, polarity, and then there's the law of opposites, and all encoded in the same object. That's why alchemists stop understanding each other, because they took it so far that no one knew what the other one was doing, because they
right?
encoded it so much with meaning and symbolism.
Right.
Mm.
And here she is with that horn of plenty,
Yeah,
right?
the
So
cornucopia.
all of these ideas go back ancient history, and we're given sort of the bare skin of truth, and we're told to allow the elites to do whatever they want to because they are the world eaters. Just let them purify us with their world eating potential. This would be more of the Ephesus idea, right? So the multi-breasted goddess in Ephesus, those are also bull testicles. Uh, the what's her name? Not Diana of Ephesus. It's let's just look up Diana of Ephesus. But again, like all of the goddess symbol is completely suppressed. It's been suppressed for 2,000 years. So all of these goddess symbols don't have any sort of frame of reference anymore. You have to discover them for yourself. Let's see here. Images. So here's another ancient goddess symbol that is just full of meaning that has been completely
Hmm.
lost. Again, she's back to relating to this Diana character and demonized and looked down upon. But the idea is this fertility rite. Even in the Bible, they talk about. Oh, there's the hat. That's the
Yeah,
one I was talking
yeah.
about, right? That's the one that Jephthah's daughter's wearing, right? And so you've got these ancient symbols. So Paul goes into Ephesus, and Paul is looking around, and the people there are scared that he's going to start smashing these goddess statues that they have all over the place. And so they back him into a corner, and they're yelling at him, "Great is Diana of Ephesus! Great is Diana of Ephesus!" And he's sort of run out of the city because they know what his job there is, to start smashing the noses off, smashing the noses, smashing the fingers, all of the different ideas. So they're trying to preserve their history, and he's trying to destroy it.
What is the Indian goddess that has the multiple breasts too?
Ooh, I don't know. Let me look that up. But yeah, all of this stuff is coming from the East, right? So these Eastern concepts are sort of coming into the Mediterranean through India and all the rest, and Iran, especially.
Let's see what comes up.
No, I'm just seeing more Diana of Ephesus. Oh, here's one. She's got three titties right there. It's like the third eye.
I'm sure I've seen that image that you show with the multi breasts and the hat. I've seen that in a representation of India.
I
I'm
wouldn't be
sure there is.
surprised. So Kybali, going back to the ancient Magna Mater traditions of
Probably
Lieber
Indra.
Ollendorf,
Probably Indra. I've seen that.
could be, could be.
What is that one? Upia. Upis. Goddess of
Upis?
Lydia. Goddess of Lydia. No, no, I'm seeing the image on the screen. I'm just reading it.
Oh, where's
Upia,
that?
goddess of Lydia. It's not Indian.
Upia? Where's that?
On you see the text.
Uh-uh.
Take the where you write, just beneath where you write.
Oh, yeah.
That the right one. You go to everyone but
Oh,
that
Upi.
one.
Yeah, that's again. Lydia is also Asia Minor, right? So again, Artemis of Ephesus, and isn't it interesting? She's got these three faces down here,
Yeah.
kind of like that. What
The
would
other
it be
one
called?
that you showed, yes.
Right. It's so interesting that all of them have these kind of city hats. So like all of the people are contained within the goddess's head.
And what is the third image from the third line, counting from the left?
Third image.
Yeah, it's a pottery image next to the Venus.
This
What
one?
is that?
That looks like the one from England where they have the old woman that's holding open her vagina. That's
Yeah, but it
that's
has a
actually
snake around her head. That's what called my attention. Is that a snake around her head,
right.
squeezing
Well,
her?
if you look at the Venus of Willendorf, she doesn't have a face. It almost looks like the coils of a snake as well. It's interesting, but that Rhea is so ancient, and a lot of people just pass it over. Whatever. Interesting. Well, what do you guys think? You want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, sure. It was a good discussion as always.
Yeah, that was great.
Lots of body horror in these ancient goddesses too. So, I mean, if you think about it, having life explode from inside of your body to outside of your body is kind of a really horrific experience.
And even if people have no interest in history or mythology, we shown lots of nudity on this show.
Right.
So
There
it's
is
something
the
for you to watch.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back with another strange adventure next week.
Next week.
Happy Easter.
Thank you. Very fun. Farewell.
Peace.